Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mine is just a very simple duty to welcome all of you to this wonderful event of launching this book, Youth and Truth. We thank Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this juncture, who has given us the opportunity to witness the launch of this book. Indeed, on behalf of the writer, Abdinoor Maalim, may I take this opportunity to welcome all the dignitaries, the friends of Abdinoor, members of the public, and all people who have interest in writing books, to witness this event of launching this book, Youth and Truth. Abdinoor Maalim is one of our students in Education for Africa. And he told me, as I welcome the members, may I also introduce or maybe say something small about how Education for Africa has really impacted in his life, that made him to be what he is today. As Education for Africa, which we measure our event in terms of mentoring young leaders. And for all the leaders who are here today, when you want to get people in your organizations, people in your institutions, people in your areas of working, we have Education for Africa, which is mentoring the young leaders to understand their responsibilities and duties that is ahead of them. Education for Africa is preparing these young youth who are in their different universities doing different courses, that they have the responsibility of this ummah after graduation. And they will not wait up to graduation, but they will see what they will be doing to the ummah even before graduation. Therefore, they are up to the task to ensure that they give back to community and do what pertains to their causes to help the community. They are there reading religion, understanding that despite that they are medical students or they are engineers or they are economists or whichever the course that they are taking, but they have the religion with them. We are preparing somebody or people who, in case of anything, they are ready to stand for the religion of Islam, inshallah ta'ala. We are preparing young youth also to understand that they'll have to give back to community when they will be having the responsibility of leading this nation, inshallah ta'ala. Therefore, Abdinoor is coming now into the category of the writers in Kenya. This is third book that he's launching today, Youth and Truth, de-westernizing the mind. And in this book, you'll all have the copies to read, and you'll understand this art of writing. As they say, the art of writing has two pillars. And the first pillar is having something to say. And number two is to say it. He had something to say for us as the readers. And he has said it through the book, that we'll all read through the book and understand why he is saying that, de-westernizing the mind. Being in his young age as the youth, he based his writing in terms of addressing the challenges that our current youth are facing. And indeed, he has elaborated a lot that we are supposed to learn a lot from him and take the lessons from the book that will help us, inshallah ta'ala, in mentoring the youth to give them the right direction of this religion of ours, Islam. Inshallah ta'ala, we welcome you all. Welcome and feel at home, and feel that you are part of this book and you are also part of the youth, and will also be part of the truth that is being said in this book, Youth and Truth. Karibuni sana na tujihisi kwamba tuko nyumbani na tuweze kumpatia support yote ambayo kwamba tuko nayo kijana huyu mdogo ambao kwamba anajaribu kiasi yake kadri yawezavyo kuhakikisha kwamba ametupatia maalumati mzuri zaidi ambayo kwamba itatusaidia sisi katika shughuli zetu za kila siku za hapa na pale inshallah taala.
As I said, I've traveled 400 kilometers. I traveled last night when I got invited to this occasion. My name is Dan Okwiri. Some people call me What Baba. What Baba is many things. I worked in aviation from 1986. I retired in 2010. And after that, I became an entrepreneur. Started a hotel called Migori County Hotel. I'm also a writer. I think that's how we cross paths. I was involved in the crash in 2007 when Kenya Airways crash happened. I'm one of the people who was involved in the repatriation of the bodies and also unlocking what happened there. And I've written a book which is actually being published. It's on Amazon, but many people want to see the hard copy. I don't know, Maalim, if your book is in Amazon. Huh? Is this book in Amazon? I'm asking a question. Maalim, is your book in Amazon? Is your book in Amazon? Amazon digital. My advice to you, when you write a book and it's on hard copy, you can't reach the world. What I would advise, nowadays, there are two modes of printing. There's hard paper printing, and you can also load your book on Amazon, and it's free. You don't spend any money. You get my point? And somebody can buy the book digitally from all over the world. That is one benefit of your generation. So, after this event, if you have the copy of your book in Word, which I'm sure you have, you can load it into the Amazon platform, and once it's loaded, it is available for everyone in the world. Because your generation is not a paper generation like mine. You get the point? They have Kindles, you have mobiles, so people can read digitally. So if you want your book to reach every corner in the world, my advice, load it on the Amazon, on the Kindle. Am I right or wrong? Okay. I'm excited today. The reason I'm excited is for one reason. By faith, I'm Catholic. And when I got an invitation to Jamia Mosque, I said I must come here. Because I love my Muslim brothers. Because of your dedication. Religion is a way of life. Religion is a way of life. Religion is not about going to the mosque alone. I hope I'm not wrong. It's about the way you do things. And one thing about your faith is that your faith is part of your lifestyle. And that is very, very important. I always say that the fastest, though I'm not Muslim, yeah? The fastest growing faith in the world, I think I posted that, Maalim, isn't it? In the world is Islam. And it's because of a lot of issues that are emerging. One of them, I think I've seen in the backup of your book, is the issue of LGBT. Understand? The West today is opening up to LGBT. Just for a moment, I must also introduce a friend of mine. He's a great man in this country from KBC. He started working in KBC in the 1970s. He was a broadcaster in KBC. I don't know what ungapi wanajua. Si KBC, VOK. Yeah. He's also a very good motorcyclist and a good rally driver. This man is called Daudi Kanja. Daudi is here today on this occasion. Maybe you can rise. Yeah. Daudi is one of a great men in this country, and I had invited him, and I'm very glad that he's here. So I was talking about the issue of LGBT. The way the Islam faith has come out strong against some of these new things that are coming in is very, very, is great. So I wouldn't say too much because this is your day. Maalim, it's your day. But all I would say is that I'm very, very thankful. I'm very, very excited that at your age, I don't think the way I see, I don't think you're more than 28. Am I right? That you can write a book. And it's a challenge for each one of us that we should write books the way you have. I can see one of the 100 most influential Kenyans, am I right, of your age. You'll do great things, because if you can write a book at your age, I wrote one I'm almost 60 now. It's taken me all this time to write a book. It shows the level of your intelligence. With those few words, nimesema asante sana. Na mimi mtu wa Migori, mimi mtu wa Junet, he's our MP, all the salams. They said, ukifika Jamia, salamia watu. Na nizimelete. Asante sana.
Bismillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Rasul Kareem. My respected elders, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having given us this opportunity to witness the great work by our son, our youngster, and a star in the middle of many challenges. We are here to witness the launch of the book by our brother Noor Maalim's. But before I go into that, our Deputy Chief Qadi, Sheikh Sufyan, Mzee Chairman Navlef, our elder Abdullah Abdi, my brother Dan Mukiri, thank you so much for coming. Really, it's a great honor. Sheikh Rashad, Mzee Ali Istoya, a number of elders are here. We acknowledge your presence. And we thank you really for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, our young brother is not just launching a book, but is doing the third book. He is not just doing a book, but is doing a book of 307 pages. He is not just doing a book, but is a book that brings about integration and clear articulation of the challenges that are facing the Muslim youth and the modern youth. He is not just writing a book, but he is writing a book that addresses emerging issues. He is not just writing a book, but is a book that combines many things. I read about quotes on Isaac Newton. I read about very popular politicians' quotes. But there is one that caught my eye, which is a quote by our own brother Nurdin when I scanned through the book. He says, "Be useful at your youthful age, for you might be useless at your awful age." That is in tandem with a very popular hadith that says 5 things before 5. Your youth is something that you will be asked before you age. Your free time before you get busy, your wealth before you become poor, your health before you become sick. So what our brother is really telling us is that this is the time that many of us, and I'm happy 70–80% of the people in the room are in that age bracket. 307 pages. It is not a mean achievement. Let's be honest. I have not made an attempt to write a book. It tells you that it is not the level of qualification, it's not the number of degrees that you have, it is not the number of years that you have been a teacher, it is not the amount of exposure you had, but I think it's all about commitment. Commitment to cause. What our brother has done is to demonstrate that what we do every day in form of writing, and I am sure each of you has done. You send a text message, you respond to a WhatsApp, you do your shopping list, you do your daily things to do, and sometimes you write other things. But for him, what he has done is to demonstrate that there is writing beyond that. And writing is the only thing so powerful that can change the world. It's the only thing so powerful that can change the mind. It is the only thing so powerful that can even be a propaganda. It is the only thing so powerful that can destroy a society. But it's the only thing that's so powerful that can also influence societies, can influence mindsets, can influence populations, can influence opinion. So I want to take this gracious opportunity to really commend the work by our brother. I really want to tell him congratulations from the bottom of my heart. It's something that I really feel it's an honor. It is something that we cannot take it for granted. It's something that's not a mean achievement. So Brother Abdinoor, congratulations for this great work. To the rest of you who are here, it's a challenge. Of course, all of us cannot write a 307 pages book, but all of us can write. And we can write to change opinion. We can write, Dr. Hassan, please welcome. We can all write to influence society. We can all write to bring about positivity. Can you just trace back the amount of things that you wrote that were not useful to society? The amount of things that you wrote in a script that were not useful to your akhirah. You know, and I want to speak to the young people. Sit down and ask how you are spending your 24 hours. Out of the 24 hours, how many hours is dedicated to your family? How many hours is dedicated to work? And more important, how many hours is dedicated to your akhirah? Even if you were to split that into 8 hours, it's just too much time. But at the end of the day, we complain that time is too little. Time only becomes too little when you spend on things that are not useful. But the moment you sit down and then program the 24 hours, you realize that there is so much time to sleep, there is so much time to write, there is so much time to be in the mosque, there is so much time to do da'wah, there is so much time to read. The tragedy that we have is that we sleep without thinking about tomorrow, what we will do. The tragedy that we have, we wake up in the morning without having a direction on what we want to do. I want us to borrow an example from our brother. If we only sit down tonight and reflect on how we spend our 24 hours, you'll realize that you'll actually have extra time to do many other things. Some people ask, I wish I had 25 hours or 26. or 27. But I want to tell you that there is barakah in the 24 hours if you only spend it on something that is useful to your life, your body, mind, family, and to the ummah. But if you spend your time on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, and there's nothing wrong, there's nothing bad in spending time on them, but if you are doing something positive with them. If you are doing something positive with them, you will find how useful it is. But if you are scrolling, I'm now told, a recent study that was done, there is what we call the iPad kids. That children are now even losing strength with their fingers because all they do is with one finger just to swipe the iPad so that they can see the next and the next and the next and the next. And at the end of the day, you have bringing up a child who's a zombie, who even has lost powers with a finger because he's no longer writing. Now, a recent study tells us that teachers are telling us that children cannot even write in school. They don't have a good handwriting because they don't spend time to write. They are now telling us that children have lost memory, and this is a research that was done because of too much spending on social media and on this iPad. They are now telling us that children are more aggressive because they want to behave what they see in those screens. They are now telling us that children are even becoming deformed in their bodies. Some are complaining about their neck, others are complaining about their back, because all the mother does is, if you want to keep this child busy, give him an iPad at the age of 4, and all he does is to spend 16 hours on that iPad. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. So without further ado, I want to thank all of you who have made it, but I think it's more important to take up the challenge. If you can't write 300 pages, write 30 pages. If you can't do 30 pages, do 3 pages. If you can't do 3 pages, do half a page. And it must not be a book. It is something that is going to shape opinion. It's something that can change society. It's something that you can forward so that other people benefit. Unfortunately, we also don't have the patience to read. I'm told the normal human mind has concentration only the first 8 seconds. If what someone shares is not interesting in the first 2 lines, then you don't need to proceed to read. And therefore, whatever we write, let it be interesting. Let it be captivating in the first 2 lines. Let it be provoking so that the person can read the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th, that manner of things. University students who are here, the young minds who are here, you are the society now. Some of us are now on our graceful ages. Unfortunately, there is a lot of worry on what the future generation will look like. Please take up this challenge. What Abdinoor has done is to confront something that someone else has never dared. To confront some of the issues that are now being pushed down our throats, where even donor conditionalities are being given to governments that unless you implement this, then we will not provide you the donors. Where non-governmental organizations are being given dictates and conditions that unless you accept this, we will not give you the funding. So what our brother has done is to challenge the status quo, is to confront this evil in a very, very civilized way, to show them the other side of positive reading, the other side of positive writing. So thank you so much. We are proud of you. You have all our support. If there is anything we can do, although we have got our own limitations, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Chairman Namlef, Sheikh Abdullahi Abdi, Dr. Kinywa, Sheikh Sughyan, Deputy Chief Qadi, Dr. Muhammad Abdinoor, Senator Dr. Chairman Abdullahi Ibrahim Ali, on my left over there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think this is a very, very unique event. Unique in the sense that we are celebrating for a knowledge achieved. And knowledge goes to generation when it is written, when it's protected. Any knowledge that remains in the mind will go with the honor. But now, when you put in writing, that's insurance that even after the honor goes, the knowledge remains. That is one. Secondly, the title is Youth and Truth De-Westernizing the Mind. One thing I believe, and it is a reality, is de-Westernizing the mind means the global youth minds are poisoned. Poisoned in the sense that all the best belongs to West. Little do they know that all the poisons come from the West. The moment West becomes your role model, unfortunately, you have you don't control your mind. You have no values of your own. The West has, unfortunately, made the values of the world, the values of the communities, the values of civilizations, has established all those things. Faith is not part of Western value. As someone has said, this book, what it's talking about, is good for Muslim youth. I disagree. This is a book that can guide and rescue the world community, including the West itself. The youth of the West, they need to be saved by Islam. They need to be saved by a faith, or any faith that has values in it, but not only values, but practice values that they believe in. Dan, you have said this, and I assure you, when you go through this book, I'm sure you probably have already read, but we need you to read more, and we'll provide you more. And I think the only thing that's left now in the world is to go back to values. We search for values. The world has now become valueless. If you have value, if you dress well, proper, with identity, you are an old age. You are not digital. So for you to be contemporary, you have to be where we are going. Is you have to be naked. If you walk in the streets of Nairobi, if you walk in the streets of Washington, in the streets of Tokyo, naked, irrespective of your gender, then you are the person who have scored the highest. If some people are told to grade people, we give more marks to the person who has decided, who has dared to walk naked. Is that the development, the achievement we want to achieve in life? That's not something to be proud of. What we need to be proud of is to be human. Because when one goes to that level, that person, he or she, he has become another animal, not human animal. That person will not be in the category of human beings. Okay? And that is why we need to write books, we need to write the world. And where the poison comes from is the West. So they have to westernize the minds of the world. That is, I think, as a very good title. I accept that is for the global, the world community, the society. It's not a target for Muslim youth to be guided against the Western valueless society, but it is for the whole world, as I have said, to guide. It's our responsibility also as Muslims to help the people who are desperate for values. And this is a consensus globally that Muslims are the people who have remained with values so far. And unfortunately, Muslim youth are imitating the Western values, and as I've said, the ultimate product of value of Western values is what I've said, end up in walking in the streets, a society that is without value, a society that without clothes we have today. So when we have, all of us are naked, and then that is a society that is valued the most. And of course, there are no more human beings then. My appeal to Muslim youth is, let us keep our values. Whether you go to America or Europe or Africa or Asia, what makes you unique is the value of Islam. And we all need to be Muslims, because without Islam, I think people just embrace Western culture. Western culture, okay? We had the Pope last time when this LGBT came, accepted. Now it means the Pope is giving up his faith. When he accepts and he recognizes that, it means he has recognized, he has given up his faith. That's not what we want. We want to remain with our values. I think Dan probably could explain more. Our Christian brothers and sisters, when the colonialism came, when the colonizers came, they said they have given the Bible and they have taken their land. That's what we always say is true, yeah? It's done. Now, the same applies to the faith also. I mean the values. Are we on our own values or values of the people who have taken our land? The people who came to take over our land, our resources, they have also given us values. Their values, which is not human values. Because what makes their values not human? Because their values have no justice. Justice. And anything that is free of justice is not a value, but it's the value it carries oppression. So the oppressor's values cannot be imitated by the people who are oppressed by the same values. So the West is valueless, and the only way going forward is to urge humanity to remain in the world of values. And I believe the consensus, the world, irrespective of the religion people believe in, is the only religion that has very strong values up to date and will remain. Is there Islam? Because why do I say it remains?
إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. Nobody can spoil, change the values of the Quran. The Quran is protected. People have tried before. And so, the values of the Quran is the only value that will remain forever. There is no editions of the Quran. There is only one from the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ up to today and up to the end of the world. So that is why the values of the Quran is what is the only option for the one. And thank you, Abdinoor. Abdinoor, something that the previous speakers have not said, is a teacher. He's now in university and he's in education, doing education literature. So I urge Abdinoor also to write on programs on tarbiyah for the youngsters. Now we have a lot of integrated schools, Muslim schools, but still we have the content we are giving is the content of the West, and very little values on Islam. So our young writer, Abdinoor, let him also think of how to write books on education, especially the tarbiyah programs, the young ones, the KG students, the lower primary, so that, and that will require you to read more on Islam, to read more on hadith that are concerning and relating to tarbiyah programs, more on tarbiyah Islam and tarbiyah. Yeah. So thank you very much, and I will say, those of you who have attended this event, you are the role models for many. The most important thing, as Dr. Abdinoor said, is your time. And our time, we are busy on other things. We don't, when there's an Islamic scholar coming, speaking to the people, many youth don't attend. They don't contribute even their time to listen to. So that is the most important thing. You have invested your time, you have come to listen, to read, to buy this book. So thank you very much. But as people have said, the Hamza and the rest, let us buy more of this. And the niyyah of, with the niyyah of ibadah, you will buy just to read a book. It's not enough. Buy with the, and read, but with the niyyah of intention of ibadah, that this book is not like any other book. You must buy with the intention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarding you for buying the book. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
قبل 5 ومنها شبابك قبل هرمك. My elders, Brother Dr. Abdinoor, I see your namesake is doing a lot of wonders. I was with him in Mandera, and he used to take me every day morning for the walk. Sometimes we could even go near Somalia border and Ethiopia border. Thank you for seeing you again. Our Deputy Chief Qadi, Honorable Sheikh Sukian, and our elder, our brother Sheikh Zakallah for being here for this youth. My boss, former boss, YMA, thank you so much, and to everyone who have come here, may Allah grant you the best. I don't want to say much, but I'm supposed to leave the country to South Korea. And I said, even with that, I better have a time to come and meet our brother for his book launch, then leave. And when I bought this book, I looked at, for example, page 1, where he's talking in the lenses of the youth. The power of the youth is the commonwealth of the entire world. The faces of young people are the faces of our past and the present and our future. No one in society can match the young people's power, idealism, and courage. And this is very true. When Jamia Mosque land had a problem, I was a youth then, and I am known by very many people. I was in a way a violent, let me say, to some people, was a very violent youth. Because anytime there was any Muslim problem, I could organize and bring at least 100 youth. Anytime I call youth, at least I knew I had 100 youth who could follow me without time. When South B Mosque was in a challenge, my friend ate a bullet next to me, and mine I got the rubber bullet. And that is what we call the power of the youth. So we did that, but at the end of the day, we also started looking at what do we tell our people when we are away. And I want to ask a question to the entire congregation here, before even I speak. How old is the average book or average age of a book? How old do you think, how many years do you think a book lives? Average life? 1,000 years. For those who don't remember, it is 1,000 years. So this book, Youth and Truth, God willing, we are in 2024, in 1445. It means that the book will be there up to 2045 Hijriya and 3024 AD, if God preserve the book. So this is why in academia, we are told you publish or perish. So Brother Abdinoor, continue what you are going to do, but you will allow me as a scholar and an editor of books. You know, the reason we are here is not only to read the book, but also to give views of what we see in the book. And you will allow to do that. If you allow me, I will go to page 11, where you quoted, good thing is you are not the one who said it, where Abdinoor Maalim, I know it's not him, he said, be useful in your youth, for you will be useless in your awful age. So what will happen is that I will encourage you, because I'm so sure books come with edition, you go and say that in your old age, you'll be slow a little bit. In old age, people are very, very wise, but they are very slow in walking. So I highly encourage each and everyone to read this book, and inshallah, yes? Yes, please, everyone should buy the book, and if you can buy even 5 to give for others, please do the same, and you read the book. The final one is that writing books is always a very great venture if you market the books easy. And I will just explain, then I sit down, because if I take long, it's not me, it's not you who will have a problem, it's me who will have a problem, because I'm the one who's supposed to be at the airport latest at 6. The first thing you do, you sit down and ask yourself, what am I good in? Then you ask yourself, what is the gap in the community about this problem? And then you start writing at least 1 page daily. 1 page daily. And you be committed to writing a page daily. So you realize that at least in 3 months, you have 100 pages. And when you do that, my friend, you will write many books. Personally, I have written 34 books. And I'm going to Korea because of this book which I wrote, Kiswahili Hatua kwa Hatua. We were contracted by the Korean embassy to teach their staff, the ambassador and the rest. When they realized that they can learn Swahili in only 6 months, they said, why don't you come to our country and talk about Swahili? So may God bless all of you. And because I have nothing to give my brother, I will give him this book as a present, then you allow me to leave. When you see me leaving, I'm not allowed to leave before my elders. The Deputy Chief Qadi, our sheikhs here, but because of what I'm doing, Arabs tell you, inda darurati tubihul mahdurat. For more, please go and Google www.drhassankinyo.com and we see what we can do. For Brother Abdinoor, count on our support in your writings. And God willing, I will get at least 3 more copies. Don't give me, I'll buy. And at least take them wherever I'm going to go and give it to at least present to any Muslim organization I see in South Korea and other places. Jazakumullahu khairan.
It's just that the truth is everything. The youth should know that. Whatever others think about, if you say the truth, you'll survive. Okay, in the religion, in our families, wherever we came from, what we are always told is that if you say the truth, you will survive. So Maalim Haidra, that's what it means. If you don't say the truth, you are hiding lies somewhere else. So please, This is just a bigger major topic, but truth is everything. So with that, I don't want to say more. There are many people who are supposed to talk. Abdinoor, I'll donate 50,000. You buy the books. I'll send it to you personally. So you buy the books and donate to where you want, inshallah. All the best.
قل بفضل الله وبرحمته فبذلك فليفرحوا خير مما يجمعون. Congratulations, younger brother Abdinoor, for this landmark achievement. Indeed, this is achievement is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, exclusively. The environment that you lived in, you were born and raised, the background, all of us, majority of us, I do not think that we have got the history of writers in the family or in the environment generally. The reality is that, let me say, we Somali communities, we are oral community. We have a lot, but those a lot are mainly Western. But we have great scholars. We still listen to their audios, but we do not see their books. True or false? That's the reality. That is unfortunate part of this fight. Obviously, the book or whatever that you leave behind, it's an ibadah, and its benefit goes beyond the order of the book. It is sadaqatul jariyah. Is a piece of the book that will live long way behind even after you leave. You will be commemorated and remember the way we commemorate and remember the great scholars that we have. Especially the Muslim scholars, every other time we mention Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran, the Holy Quran, talks about great men and women, and as well as evil men and women, for a purpose. So Abdinoor, surely the history will record you for that. So many of us who Allah never gave the opportunity or the tawfiq to do what Abdinoor did, the day we die, people will mourn for 2-3 days and will forget us. But for Abdinoor, whenever anybody pull out his book, whoever comes after him, they will keep on remembering him, and whoever reads and benefits from these books, obviously he will earn a thawab and ajr in his grave. So this is sadaqatul jariyah. A sadaqatul jariyah is a sadaqah that will be continuous. It's a challenge for all of us. The first time I attempted to write was when I was required by the academic requirement to write a completion thesis for my master's, unfortunately, or fortunately, under supervisions of a scholar, of a professor. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, and that was my end. End of it, end of the story, for me. And that is what many of us have been doing also. I believe so. I think that's not the way to go. You have challenged us. You have challenged especially the youth, your peers, and those who will be coming after us. Would you imagine if you sit down in a week, how many writes up do we made in our WhatsApp, in other social media platforms? If we look at it, they go without any benefit. I think it's the right time that we do that. Youthful stage, Khot al-Iman, is a great thing. It's a great opportunity. That is why we are told that because on the day of judgment, everybody will be questioned. All of us will be questioned. But at various stages of our life, we will be questioned. and youthful stage especially would be questioned. لا يزال قدم عبد حتى يسأل عن أربع. 4 things will be asked. And then an umrah, the entire life that Allah gave you, you will be questioned. We will be asked, each one of us. This liquid was given to us for free by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then out of that, you are youthful shababak, when you are a youth. So this is a great thing for you. And of course, I'm sure we will have many people that we have mentored, or continue mentoring. Within this stage, you are yet to, the last time when we met with you was that you are looking for a university. By that time you have a book, isn't it? By the time you have a book, the pruning, the first book, and the second book. But still you are in your studies, you told me. Right, very well. Look now, he has mandated to produce this book and is qualified by his book, all right, to be entrusted with imparting knowledge. That is enough. That is enough certificate. That is a degree by itself. So may Allah bless you subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the rest of us kindly let us support by buying the book and also disseminating, and also, of course, I think our brother from Catholic, he left. I think he gave us a hint, a very good hint. Go for Amazon, is where books are. And also other platforms. Okay? You can publish your book there, and albeit it might be maybe cheaper, but still people can access, many people can access that book and buy. So with this few remarks, thank you so much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. I'm Saadia Ali from Mount Kenya University, pursuing teaching, and also a writer and an author of 2 books in the market. But today it's not my day. I came here to congratulate Abdinoor. One of the things I do is I write poetry, so I could not come without a poem. Let me recite a poem and then I say the part of the book that actually... this is for Abdinoor Maalim, the author of Youth and Truth. In era of indoctrination, we are indebted to you to stand for salvation of minds and brains. Writing needs bravery. Writing the truth calls for unparalleled courage. A youth writing truth in times of truth abomination accepted the worth of truth and surpassed challenge of mental slavery and its filth. We are indebted to you to stand for salvation of brains and minds. Behind you we rally as you guide us through this valley, the vast valley of mental freedom. The truth in your words we testify, in our actions we will exemplify the power of the westernized mind. Congratulations for accepting call of courage to write all truth in youth and truth. We are indebted to you. We are indebted to you to stand for salvation of brains and minds. It was an English poem. I know Abdinoor likes Arabic and Somali more than English. But maybe next time I'll prepare a Somali poem. I am well versed with the English poetry. The thing that, when I met Abdinoor as an author, one thing that felt so special about his writing is the power of investing time in writing. During these times we live, it's very easy to say I am a writer, but to write something worth reading, and as the scholar here was saying that a book stays 1,000 years, is very hard. Personally, I felt challenged because I used to meet authors and I was the utmost reader, and then I met Abdinoor, who is telling me I had to read 200 books to write this. So I'm so much challenged, and I think my next book I'll have to challenge him also. At least I have to read like 400 books to write one book. The part I like most about the book is the aspect of feminism and the history he lays down. It's like all the things in me were written, because I fight indoctrination a lot, from the basics, whereby education, success, and whatever scripts we have, to the higher philosophies that he talks about in his books. I will advise every sister who is here. I was quite versed with feminism, but still the information is in this book is worth it. Please take your time. If you don't read another chapter, read what feminism is about. At least hata kama unasema I'm not a feminist, you know why. At least you are not just saying I'm not a feminist. The aspect of also being liberal and liberalism idea has been well pointed out. I'd like to say congratulations, standing the point of being a writer and an author. I feel what such a day means. Congratulations to you, and to more books, inshallah. And everyone who is here, if you don't buy the book, there is little happiness for the writer. But it is even worse if you buy the book and you don't read. So please, my sincere, I just beg you to read throughout the year. Hata kama utasoma 1 page a day. Please, the worst thing you do is you can buy the book and put it in the shelf. You have not done good for the writer. You have not given the writer what they deserve. Please, if you take the book, make sure before the year ends, at least you finish it. Na kama si hivyo, donate it today to someone who is going to read it. Shukran, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa wa ba'd. All protocol observed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh again. This is a watershed moment for me because writing a book, and not just a book, but a book of this nature, is not a solitary endeavor. It needs energy, it needs synergy, it needs effort, it needs collaboration from different people. I will not have done any justice if I have not make mention of some few individuals who have a golden heart. I'll start by Fadilat Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, who is Ghaniyun an al-Ta'rif. Everybody knows him for taking his time within his study schedules for rereading and scanning the book, the manuscript, and critiquing the book, so that he could be able to iron out the wrinkles of the text. That he has forwarded the book. There were a lot of controversies and of course eyebrows from the readership there, because when we are talking about the Western civilization or hegemony, there are of course a number of logical fallacies that people commit about it. This is sometimes equated as a live wire, touching a live wire. But a scholar of such nature, attitude, scholar of Islamic Sharia, and a lawyer, forwarded the book, and of course not just forward, but of course writing his own profile in the forward means a lot to me. And it gives me the courage and the contentment that at least I can stand in front of people and say that at least I've done something. Alhamdulillah. The second person that I just want to also make mention without much ado is Fadilat Sheikh Irshad, the director of WAMI, World Assembly of Muslim Youth, for encouragement, of course, and moral support, and also financial support. He has not just bought the books, 100 copies, but of course he was the person who has gone through the journey with me, and of course financed also the production of the work. Kindly, can I just give him a round of applause? Thirdly, without much ado, I will not have done any justice without mentioning of Fadilat Sheikh Abdul Qadir Ano, the executive director of Society Development Trust, who has also, because of your purity of soul and encouragement and of course guidance, alhamdulillah, he was with me in this journey. Before I shed light on the content here, I need to make some few disclaimers. Number one, I'm not a scholar. I'm not a scholar and I'm not an authority. I'm just a learner, but I'm just a learner who's a bit fortunate than maybe the other learners, because I'm surrounded by scholars, and of course I'm growing under the stewardship of these many scholars. So I'm not a scholar. Anybody should not subscribe to me as a scholar, because that one might be a mockery in the scholarship endeavors. Number two is that, there are, of course, quite a number of logical fallacies, and I've already reiterated, by including the Western intellectual traditions, when we're talking about an issue like this one. And one of these logical fallacies is that seeing the world with that fallacy called black and white, where everything is narrowed as black and white and not other color. When we're speaking about the Western ideologies and critiquing these all hegemonic problems we're seeing today, somebody like President George W. Bush, after the incidents of 9/11, stood on a stage like this one and made a scandalous statement that if you are not with us, it means you are with them. If you just analyze the discourse, it means that if you are not with them, obviously you are with the terrorists. So he has just narrowed the whole world as black and white. You're either with the West or with the terrorists. Now I'm just making a disclaimer here in front of every person, and I think the media personality will also quote that I'm not a fundamentalist, neither am I an extremist or a radical, but I'm just a student, a citizen, a concerned citizen of the world that just wishes what we call moral sanctity. And there's nothing absolutely wrong with the content. And of course, when somebody has the freedom of speech, reviling and of course insulting our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is termed as now freedom of speech, we will not hesitate to expose the underbellies of these dogmatic ideologies. Now I want to just look at the book there. When someone just looks or peruses the cover page, sees youth and truth, and then the subtitle is de-westernizing the mind. So someone will ask if these issues of human dissemination and of course moral decadences and turbulences that we're seeing around is a global phenomenon, why should I have to narrow down to the youth? What is the nexus between the youth and moral issues of de-westernizing or deprogramming the world? Why should I have to narrow down to the category of youth and not other person, and other category? This must be a question that has been asked a lot. But I have an answer here today that when you just look, the youth are the epicenter of what I call the moral decadences, the earthquake of moral decadences. They are the epicenter, the focal point of this one. And if you just look at the 21st century, and forgive me to say this, that for the first 21st century is a crappy century, a century that is so unfortunate for the millennials, because the Western dogmatic ideologies are perpetuated by the Western hegemony and dominions everywhere you go. And then some of these scandalous are like feminism, the radical feminism, also of course the postmodernism feminism, the new atheism, which is in itself an irreligious extremism. We have religious extremism. That is what these people, insurgent group. We have also irreligious extremism. The new atheism, the secularism itself. Then we have also liberalism or liberal humanity. I don't want to delve much into each part of this ideology, but I just want to make mentions of a few things here. All these ideologies that I'm mentioning, and of course they are chapters in their own in this book, there is one common denominator of all. I have already, as I was researching on the book extensively, I've seen that feminism, liberal humanism, secularism, and of course, etc., have one common denominator: their displeasure and discontentment of religion. Nothing else. They have overstepped all moral bounds, and of course, relegated anything that has tag of religion, and they have relegated to the sideline. This is, if you could give me just a minute, please. This one was triggered by the Western historical realities, even in the medieval period, when there was a great turbulence, social turbulence in the West there was quite a number of altercations between the people of the church, of course the Catholic Church, and then its fellowship. They have subjugated, the people of the church subjugated their fellows to such an extent that they have closed their horizon in terms of freedom thinking, in terms of what we call free thought, in terms of enlightenment and everything. When on the other world, the Islamic civilization was at the peak of its civilization. And of course, because if they are pushed to the world to some extent, that they have to resort to such ideologies. Like women themselves were not given much. Somebody, if I may quote St. August, he was the most prominent Catholic Church. He said that women were created when men were sleeping. So it means that that discourse will automatically tell you that the creation of women was an afterthought, or what we call secondary consideration, and it's not something that was much needed. Tertullian is also one of the Catholic priests said on the stage and said that women were just temples built on a sewage. That means that that one denotes that women are impure. So they resorted to something what we call feminism. Of course, in the starting, it was a bit justifiable because they were fighting for their rights. Issues of liberal democracy, liberalism, this was something that was brought by the thinkers themselves because of much subjugation from the church. And when we're talking about, I just want to mention the two tenets of these liberal things. When we're talking about they have narrowed down, they have lost, when they just throw religion, it means they have also thrown the morality, because religion is the primary producer of morality, because it is masdar.
Those things are our works. Okay, just go on. Okay. Be brief.
I'll be very brief because of time. That I think because of these things, they say that they have only two thresholds for morality. They say that what is morally right, we have only two thresholds. Number one, whatever maximizes pleasure and minimizes harm of others should be morally right. If you just look at something and it has pleasure in it, it's making pleasure to the doer, and then it is not causing any harm to the people, it is morally right. Not God dictates what is right, not religion dictates, not any sort of animism dictates what is right. But I'm just asking myself a question, and this one will be my conclusion. When we just took these just two maxims, this is, of course, totalitarian ethics. They say, maximizes pleasure, if pleasure is something to go by, and then harming others is something to go by, we have two thresholds. Then I'm asking this question myself. What if I take a camera and then put it on a female, what we call toilet, and then I give, viewers or the voyagers the freedom to have the pleasure. Of course, they are having the pleasure themselves, and I just hide the face of that young lady, maybe. We have met the threshold of pleasure and harm. Is that morally right? Is that morally right? Because we have only two thresholds for liberal democracy or liberalism in itself. As because of time, kindly read the book, reread it. I will not be much happy because if you just buy it and then tackle the book on the shelf. I will be very happy when you just read and critique, because most of the things that I've said here may not argue with you. But of course, these are just my views, and I've not just talked out from that emotional point of view, but they are, of course, researched from the historical realities, starting from the ancient Greeks up to the postmodernism. Thank you, Anza. Okay. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, I also registered for a kind of academy. It's called Afkar Institute, where now we can be able to domicile. We can be able to house people, various researchers on contemporary issues, especially affecting the young people. So anybody who has ever researched something or a paper, do not hesitate to also, because we'll publish it in our institute, inshallah. Afkar Publisher is also mine. I'm the director of this, together with others also. Anybody who wants also publication and etc. can also liaise with me. Shukran, tabarakallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I've got 1 minute to conclude because Adhan is going to go any moment. I'll be very, very brief. First of all, I wanted this opportunity to congratulate and thank our son who has published this book. Today I've learned also something else. All along I was thinking that we have got very, very few authors within the community. We have penetrated every different sector in this country, but this field of authorship was one that I felt we were very, very weak. But alhamdulillah, today I've seen people say, I have written so many books, and I'm sure there are so many outside. But still, the gap is too big. I just want to limit my talk because with a limited time. What is the usefulness of this type of information? The book talks about Westerners. What is the relevance between the Westerners and the youth which we are talking about today? The Westerners colonized the world, east to west. There was a time they said that the sun never sets in His Majesty's empire. So that when the sun is rising in Australia, it is setting down in Alaska. And all that, at that particular time, they used physical control through colonialism. After so many years, because we don't have the time to go through the process, there came what they call, for example, in Africa, the wind of change. So when the wind was blowing in the whole world, they lost colonialism, which was being, initially we were colonized by physical force, by military rule, by the rule of gun. Then when independence came and most of the Africa became liberated, we are again colonized through economic power. And then I'll go through it. I don't want even to go and concentrate too much on that. Up to today, as you know, we are being colonized by institutions that have been set up by the Western powers, including the IMF, including all the Bretton Woods institutions, whereby our economy is controlled by them. And as you know, the Western Africa, most of the economy is controlled by France, so economic control still continue. I don't want to continue on that one. Then we come to the third one, which is, I think, what is relevant for today. The subject is de-Westernizing the mind. The mind was Westernized from the time of the first colonialism. Westernization continued at the same time when we had the economic colonialism, and Westernization continues up to today through what? Through information. So information is a tool both for defense and for offense. These countries used information as a tool for their own defense, but on offense on other people. And the concentration has always been on the Muslim community and on Islam. They started with what they call Orientalism, and they got people who were paid very well. Their job was just nothing to write about how bad Islam is and how Easterners are bad. And then they continue right now. Of course, technology changed. You've got the electronic media, you've got the print media, and they control the monopoly of all these institutions, and they branded us so bad that it got to a level whereby we also started doubting ourselves. Forget about the non-Muslims. So the Westernization of the man is so much that even us, we want to imitate, we want to ape what is Westerners. In terms of even the languages, what language am I using today? I am using English language. When you use a language, that language acculturizes you. The idioms you are using is of that language, proverbs using of that language, the history you try to relate is from that language. You become physically a different person, but mentally you are still one of those people. So you require to come and replay back all these things. Time does not allow us. But this book is very, very timely. Because this book is a book. And this book gives information of what is right and what is wrong as far as the Western countries are concerned. It is the electronic media which is now being used to fight us. But thank God, the same electronic media that they are using to fight us, which they had the monopoly, there came up something which is called TikTok. I'm not very good in digital, it's not my age. I'm 70 plus, but I'm sure you understand the facilities and all those things. It is TikTok which has opened up now the mind of the world, not only of the Muslims. It has opened the mind of the world to show people what is the truth. So basically, I can see the Master of Ceremonies getting closer to me, telling me to shut up, to go. But what is most important, This book is very, very important. Go through it. And we require more books like this. But more important than that, since you have got the ability from your own bedrooms and your sitting rooms, you don't have to know yourself. You have to educate the world what is the reality. What is the truth about the world? Like he said, it's not a question of black and white. The black is always the other side. The white is always the Westerners. So if you are white, you are Westerners. If you are black, you are always the devil. So it is the responsibility of all of you as youth, because this book is addressing you. Wake up, rise up. When you do that, you are not only educating yourself, you are not only providing security for yourself, you are serving the cause of Islam and the Muslims. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
First, my apologies for coming to this very important launching of the book of my brother a bit late. I just came from Naivasha for official work and I had to rush. So I seek your pardon for coming late. Interestingly, I can see my colleagues on right and left, people whom we have schooled with, the Chief Qadi, the Deputy Chief Qadi, my senior by a class. We normally call him the Abdinoor, and which means I'm old, I'm no longer youthful as the book depicts me. One thing, we want the title of the book, Youth and Truth, two critical aspects of the society. And then we point fingers to the Western community. When we point a finger to somebody, where are the other four? To you, where are the Somali community? Where is the Somali community? Where is the Somali nation? How much is our culture in support of its own religion? Does it abhor the values the Western society is trying to imbibe into our youngsters? Or it's also worse. I myself did not read this book very well, but I had a scan, chapter by chapter. Just a scan, and I liked the methodology it used in trying to bring about the youth and trying to go down to virtuous aspects. The first, defining youth, a very contentious issue. Who are the youth? According to the UN, you know how youth are being defined. Between age 18, 15. Who fixed this 18-year-old is a question. Very contentious. The fundamental rights and freedoms are entouched with age. Is this 18 obsolete? Is this 18 so in United States of America? If I may pick a contentious issue, the consent to sex, which is very immoral. But in this liberal world, according to United States, when you are 17, you have the consent. You can go for it. But in Kenya, you cannot. You'll be charged for a very serious crime, isn't it? Country to country, so there is an entire world of argument around which age is really youthful. But nevertheless, I think the best is as prescribed in the Holy Book. That should be our guide. So you're trying to bring a mix of a lot of things, ideology, cultures, morality, gender, so many things into the mix, to the United Nations definition, to try to define which age is really right for the youth. And I'm sure you have rightly quoted the Quranic verse, chapter 30, verse 54, which I believe is the epitome or the icing of all those definitions. You talked of physical aspects of qualifying youth and the emotional aspect. I have no problem with physical. Many youth are physically weak. The greatest danger to our youth is emotions. Emotions. If you are emotionally weak, you are unintelligent. So work on your emotions. Work on your emotions. IQ is actually not potent But emotional intelligence is the most powerful thing. So try to work on your emotions. Emotions, that is the thing. Then you talk to youth as a power, and you took us through the genesis of youth and history, taking us from Greek, the Athens, then bringing us to the religious context. Prophet Abraham, as they call in the Christian world, how he has endured being a youth and his achievement. To Prophet Yusuf, they call it Joseph, how he has endured challenges and the milestones he has achieved, all those. And up to Ashabul Kahf. You are trying to contextualize youth into, but of important to me that speaks to me today is time and usefulness, which I'm a victim. I was late for this function. Time. Many honorable members came, promised to come to this function. I'm alone and I came late. So it goes right to the leadership. Are we truthful? Do we value time? And we are in that quagmire. Mentorship is a key thing. The lack of mentorship. If the leaders do not say the truth, if I can take a holy Quran, and for me it appears to be a holy, just a book, like Abdinoor's book, a holy book, and then I say a Christian takes me through, taking an oath, I solemnly declare that what I'm saying in this court is nothing but the truth, and yet I'm lying, and I'm holding the holy book. That is truth, youth and truth. How much are our values in us? Sorry, time is... So in mentorship, you talked of lack of leaders, which I am one. You talked of the issue of ego. Deal with your ego. See yourself always as ignorant and low. Humble yourself. And self-centeredness, which means selfishness. Many more. Without much ado, I don't have to check. You have brought legal components into your argument in your book. Liberalism, secularism, feminism. Myself, in front of you, I'm a student, starting my 4.2 in law. Studying the same, going through the same hassle, trying to think about what are they trying to teach me. Feminism, liberalism. What do they stand for in the Islamic context? All these philosophies and jurisprudential issues, you have just scratched it, but are so deep. Each can be handled in a different way, and it is bottomless. If Plato and Socrates dealt with them, I'm sure Abdinoor will have a long way to go into them. Mine is just to say, why do you write a book? Many write a book because they speak English. Is that the purpose? There must be a purpose. There must be an objective in the society. You want to cure a problem, and you must know your audience, not the language. So this book really is like it speaks to me as a person. And it's time for Asr. I remember the author took our time. You spoke on the book. We are to speak on the book. You use our time, so we are being pushed. What I'm trying to promise, what is the value of the book? I couldn't see. So I would offer 1.5 million towards the book. And I will push my colleagues, members of parliament, to make sure that they all contribute towards the purchase of the book so that all our schools. And one thing I forgot. Sorry. Somebody out of just told me, is there any Somali who wrote a book? I just watched him. I told him, do you know Nuruddin Farah? He could not recall. I told him, do you know the book, The Crooked Ribs? He went silent. Then I asked him, we went further writing another book, The Naked Needle. Then he accepted. Then I tell him he has won a lot of accolades and awards. Then later I started talking, do you know Abdinoor of Wajir North?